Hi, my name is Saber Popoli, and this is the next episode of Ask an Adaptive Horseback Riding Instructor. I am the owner and founder of Hoof Falls and Footfalls, and I provide education, coaching, development, and other resources to instructors that work in the equine assisted services industry, specifically adaptive or therapeutic horseback riding, groundwork, and equine assisted learning. So in this episode, we're going to be talking about putting a fly mask on your horse during a mounted lesson. So this horse here, she is not tacked up and ready for a lesson. As you can see, she only has her bridle and her halter on, but we're still going to talk about this topic, and I will be discussing my preferred method of layering the equipment and also some best practices and safety considerations if you're thinking about having your horse wear or not wear a fly mask during lessons. And for those of you who might be listening on the podcast version of this, just know that you can go to the Hoof Falls and Footfalls YouTube channel and view a video of this Ask an Adaptive Horseback Riding Instructor episode, and you can see the visuals that go along with this discussion. So here Delilah is in her halter and her bridle, and I have my halter layered underneath of my bridle, which has no noseband. The layering of the halter and the bridle is a completely different discussion, which I will do in another episode of Ask an Adaptive Horseback Riding Instructor. So I'm not going to dig into the why and the nitty-gritty of why I choose to have the halter underneath the bridle, but this is definitely my preferred layering of this, and I have very strong whys behind why I choose to do this. So I have my halter, my bridle, and then if I were to have my equine coworker wear a fly mask during a lesson, I would put the fly mask on over top of the bridle and the halter and loosely Velcro. I would not put the fly mask on first and then put the halter and then the bridle over top. That makes things extremely bulky, and if I needed to remove this fly mask for any reason, say maybe it's getting a little bit darker, or I can't read the horse's expression for whatever reason, then I don't have to undo it and try to dig it out underneath of the halter and the bridle and all the other equipment. It's already on top and easy to remove. So before you put a fly mask on your equine during a lesson, there are some things that you need to do and consider before you take that step. So first thing is, have you schooled your horse and you know how they're going to react under saddle while they're wearing a fly mask? I have 4 different horses that are in my lesson program. 2 of them can wear fly masks during lessons. 2 of them cannot, because they get a little extra hypervigilant and they just can't see very well through the fly mask. And so I noticed that their behavior and their demeanor changes quite a bit. And that is even with a significant amount of schooling. They just really don't like wearing a fly mask while a student is in class with them. So 2 of my 4 horses in my program can wear a fly mask during lessons, and then 2 of the 4 don't. And I still continue to school them with it. So during lunging lessons, when I do schooling rides with them, I'll still ride it. But at this point in time, 2 of them, it's just not a safe decision to have them wear a fly mask during the lesson. So I might choose to have one of my equines wear a fly mask during a lesson if it is peak fly season, which we're kind of getting into that. You might see a few flies on their face right now. I try to avoid fly spray and chemicals as much as possible. One, that can trigger some reactions in the students, either texture, or they might break out in hives because they're sensitive to the chemicals. They may not like the smell. So if I can get away with a fly mask on the horse instead of chemicals, then I will do that. And also for my horses, if I can limit the amount of chemicals I put on them, I do that. I've tried all the natural fly spray remedies and they just don't work for the flies out here, so I do have to use a little bit stronger fly spray if I am going to go that route and the fly mask is just not cutting it, or I need to put some extra coverage on over the nose. I do have one horse where even if I do have regular fly spray on during a lesson, if the flies are out, he still needs to have a fly mask on because he will shake his head even if one little one lands on his face. He's just kind of sensitive. So to avoid the head shaking and reins getting pulled out of students' hands and them getting unsettled if he shakes his head, he wears a fly mask until it's cooled off enough or the sun has gone down far enough where we can take it off and safely and comfortably ride without a fly mask on. Another thing that I think about too is how I'm able to read my horse's facial expressions. If I am able to have them be in a lesson comfortably without a fly mask on and limiting the amount of fly spray that I'm using and the chemicals, then I will opt to take this fly mask off. And that is because I personally like to be able to see and read my horse's facial expressions, the crinkle around their eye. I can still see their nose and their mouth and how they're reacting, but there's a lot here that our horses do to communicate with us that can be covered up by the fly mask. So if at all possible, I ride without it, but if it's one of those just super, fly heavy, buggy days and they're uncomfortable and fly spray is not working, then I will go ahead and layer this on if the horse has been schooled with this fly mask and if they are comfortable and okay being ridden in this and can still see the world okay. There is no standard for PATH International or CHA that says that we cannot put a fly mask on, but we as instructors need to do our due diligence to make sure that it's a safe and appropriate choice for that specific equine in that specific situation. I have also seen horses wear fly masks with the full nose coverage if they are more sensitive around their nose, or maybe they get sunburned easily and they have to wear like a sun shield screen. Everything that we're talking about, or that we have talked about regarding this fly mask here, would also apply to more of a full face fly mask or a sun shield type mask for that horse. Make sure your horse is schooled, make sure it's appropriate to the situation, and that you have tried it multiple times and go on a case-by-case basis to make sure that it is appropriate for that specific horse in that situation. So I hope this episode of Ask an Adaptive Horseback Riding Instructor was helpful. Let me know if you opt to use fly masks during lessons and what your policies and procedures are. And fly masks in lessons can also be helpful during grooming as well. So maybe we leave the fly mask on during grooming, we take it off for riding, and then we put it back on for the horsemanship component again, or we leave it on the entire time for horsemanship and riding and tacking. Tons of different ways to do it. I'd love to hear from you, and I will see you guys on the next episode of Ask an Adaptive Horseback Riding Instructor.